Not every voice inside your head deserves your loyalty. Think about that. Some of the greatest lies you have ever believed never came from an enemy. They never came from another person. They came from you. And the scary part, they sounded completely reasonable. I'll start Monday. I'm just waiting for the right time. I've got too much going on right now. I'll do it right after this season clears up. None of those sentences felt like lies when you said them. They actually felt responsible, logical, mature. They had quietly stolen years from my life. Today, I want to put one specific voice on trial. Not your significant other, not your boss, not your childhood, not culture, politics, or even social media. We're putting the one voice on trial that sounds exactly like you. Welcome back to the Eminence Legacy podcast. I'm Jose Luis Cadena. This is part 6 of the Sovereignty series. Stop letting the world lead you. In part 1, we drew the line and said the world does not get to lead your life. In part 2, we exposed reaction. If everything can trigger you, anything can lead you. In part 3, we targeted appetite. Something is studying your weaknesses while you call it entertainment. In part 4, we dealt with fake connection. Everybody can reach you, but nobody knows where you are bleeding. In part 5, we confronted survival. You are not building a life. You are just trying to afford one. You know what? Forget the notes for a second. I just need to tell you something. See, I've been thinking about this episode all week. And the more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I got. Because I realized I wasn't thinking about you. I was actually remembering me. Because the unlimited threat to your sovereignty is not external noise. It is internal psychological treason. It's the desperate, brilliant way of your old identity that fights to stay alive by lying to you, by lying to me. See, inside every mind, there's an active courtroom. Every day, evidence is presented. Every day, a verdict is reached. The question isn't whether your life is on trial or not. The question is, who is representing you? Is it truth? Or are you letting your excuses act as your defense? Legacy builders don't tolerate treason in their own mind. We name the pressure. We refuse the excuse. We own the response. And we make the move. Let's get into the truth. Let me make a confession. The biggest liar I've ever met in my life shaved in my mirror this morning. I can look you in the eye and say that because I know what it means to spend a whole season completely bought into my own garbage. I wasn't doing it because I was evil. I was doing it because my excuses protected me from an uncomfortable reality. Let's tell the truth. I wasn't lying because I wanted to deceive the people around me, the people I care about, the people I love. I was lying because the truth demanded a version of me that I simply wasn't ready to become yet. That's different. That's heavy. And that is exactly where a lot of you are living right now. We have to understand the architecture of how we stay stuck. Inside every mind, there's a trial that never ends. There's a judge, a prosecutor, a defense attorney. There is a defendant, a witness, and an entire file of evidence. See, every single morning, your future walks into the courtroom. Your calling stands at the bar. Your potential sits in the box. And the moment you try to change, the moment you try to step into a higher identity, somebody inside your own head starts arguing to keep you exactly who you are. Your mind has a built-in defense attorney whose only job is to protect your current comfort zone, to protect who you think you are from the stress of who you could be. Listen to the legal defense your mind cross-examines you with every single day. Look how hard he tried last time. He deserves a break. He had a brutal childhood. You can't expect him to move fast. He just needs more clarity before he takes action. He'll start next month when things stabilize. He isn't built like those other people. Notice something very specific about that list. Your internal defense attorney never asks if the excuse is actually true. It only cares if the excuse can be defended. That is a psychological trap. Your mind will build a flawless legal defense to justify why you are still sitting on the couch, breaking promises to yourself and calling it resting. You ever notice your mind has an incredible ability to remember exactly what protects your pride and conveniently forget what demands your growth? The mind isn't always looking for truth. It's looking for consistency. It wants to keep the current version of you safe, even if that version is systematically destroying you. It can take a single failure, erase 10 massive victories from your memory, and convince you that failure is your permanent identity. Or it can take only solitary success from 3 years ago, ignore years of current laziness, and convince you that you are currently trying your absolute hardest. If you do not challenge that script, you will become the permanent prisoner of an identity defense mechanism you refuse to audit. But identity doesn't just defend itself, it bargains. And that is the darker part of this courtroom. Your old identity doesn't usually look at your dreams and tell you no. It whispers, let's do it tomorrow. It doesn't fight your vision. It negotiates it to the death. And that is exactly what a plea deal does. Your old identity has been cutting backroom pleas deals with your future. It says, let's compromise. Give up 20% of the standard today, and I'll let you have 100% next month. It negotiates away your transformation so you can keep your comfort. It signs a plea deal to avoid the pain of becoming someone new. Every time you accept a delay, you are signing a plea bargain that liquidates your legacy for a temporary relief. And when you look up years later, you realize you settled for a fraction of the life you were called to live, all because you kept settling out of court with your own weaknesses. Look at me and listen to me clearly. Not everybody else. You. How long are you going to keep calling it wisdom when it's really just fear wearing a necktie? You have become so incredibly good at explaining your limitations that your excuses now sound like experience. Stop believing every single thought simply because it used your voice. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a credibility problem. You have listened to yourself break promises, delay executions, and negotiate standards for so many consecutive years that even your own future doesn't trust a word you say anymore. Do you know why your future doesn't trust you? Because you've been introducing yourself to it with broken promises. That isn't life doing that to you. That's your own repetition. every single promise you broke, trained your identity to expect defeat. We have to understand why the mind fights so hard to protect the old identity. Your old identity isn't actually afraid you'll fail. It's afraid you'll succeed because success would prove it lied to you. Change doesn't just hurt because it's difficult. It hurts because success exposes every single excuse your identity ever made to keep you safe. Every excuse you have ever repeated was just trying to keep one specific thing alive, the person you no longer need to be. That is the entire battle for your sovereignty. Now the prosecutor stands. No anger, no emotion, dialogue. Just inventory of your contradictions. Exhibit A. The defense stated that family was the highest priority. The record disagrees. Screen time averaged 4 hours a day. Exhibit B. The defense claimed there was not enough time to execute the vision. The record shows 3 whole seasons were consumed instead. Exhibit C. The defense stated a desire for deep internal peace. The evidence shows anxiety was fed every single morning before purpose was even given a plate. No further questions. Let's look at the damage. How many dreams have you quietly buried inside your own backyard while pointing the finger at life? I know the address of the graveyard because I used to own it. I dug the hole. I carried the coffin, and every single shovel full of dirt felt completely justified. I stood at the service and blamed culture, timing, relationships, and capital. I blamed luck. I blamed everything but myself, except the man holding the shovel. Until one day, I looked down at the dirt on my own hands, and I realized I wasn't attending my dreams anymore. I was just attending my excuses. Let's bring the court back to order. The games are over. The negotiation is dead. After hearing all the evidence, this court finds that fear has been impersonating wisdom. Comfort has been impersonating peace. Delay has been impersonating preparation. An excuse have been impersonating truth. Verdict deliver. Sentence begins immediately. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Not January. Immediately. Legacy builders, this is your checkpoint. Who has been running the court inside your head? Have you been letting your excuses cross-examine your destiny? Have you been defending the very version of yourself that you are called to outgrow? Have you been accepting backroom plea deals just to stay comfortable? And what is the first promise you need to keep to yourself this week? Without an explanation, without a delay, and without negotiation. Because a sovereign life cannot be built on foundations your own internal credibility keeps rejecting. If this episode made you uncomfortable, good. Comfort has been your defense attorney for a long enough. Now, don't just nod and return to the noise. If you are listening to this on a web browser or a link, maybe someone texted you this. Don't let this be a temporary visit. Hit follow right now on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Legacy builders don't just visit truth, they stay connected to it. Share this message with one person who keeps talking themselves out of their own greatness. Send it with no explanation. Just say, listen to this one. And if you are done running the trial alone, if you need a room with structure, absolute alignment, and high-level execution, go to EminenceLegacyLive.com. Visit us and apply for our next round of Round Zero. This is an introduction course to our Eminence Circle. The trial is over. It's time to build. Let's lock this sovereignty principle in. Your mind is lying to you. The most dangerous voice you'll ever hear is the one that sounds just like you. Your brain protects consistency over objective truth. Your old identity cuts pleas, deals with your future to keep you small. And the prosecutor exhibits don't care about your stories. So cross-examine the excuse. Put the thought on the witness stand. Stop settling out of court with your limitations. And stop letting your old identity defend itself against your future. When this episode ends, don't question your dreams. Question the voice that's been talking you out of them. Don't question your calling. Question the identity that's been negotiating against it. Before you believe your next excuse, put it on the stand. Demand the evidence, because not every thought deserves your trust. Not every feeling deserves your loyalty, and not every voice inside your head has the right to lead your life. This is the Eminence Legacy podcast. Jose Luis Cadena. And remember, together, let's rise to your eminence. The verdict has been delivered. But Thursdays, we open a completely different case file. Fire and Ice, Truth Under Pressure. 8 case files where relationships become the evidence. If you're ready to step into the courtroom and examine the evidence, I'll see you Thursday. Case dismissed. No, not your future, your excuses. Now go build the life the evidence says you are capable of. Wake up. The time is now.